Takes us to item E under new business, Recreation Center Guaranteed Maximum Price, otherwise known as GMP. Mr. Dale Robinson, otherwise known as DR.
As Mr.
Mr. DR.
Dr. DR, huh?
Yeah, doctor. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so basically to remind you and for the public, on November 7th, we presented and you guys approved a partial GMP for the Recreation Center for just under $30 million in order to get that project moving, but more importantly, to lock in some prices that were going to skyrocket. And that proved to be very effective, but it also gave us some more time to work through a value engineering process on the rest of the project. And so over the last month, we've had staff, contractors, architects researching ways to potentially save us money through value engineering. At the same time, not sacrificing any of the quality or things that could cause potential maintenance issues in the future. So we were able to identify through that process $1.15 million worth of changes that we could do that didn't affect the project. And also while we were going through that process, we ended up finding other things that had either gotten missed or misbid, which actually will turn out to be a blessing for us because we found them early and didn't have to worry about finding those things later in the project. Those have all been included in this GMP, and we will not have to use contingency funds to fix those issues that we found through this process. So you have before you the GMP provided by Westland Construction. The one that's being submitted for your approval tonight is in the amount of $70,851,002. That includes a $2 million contingency and a performance payment bond of $408,790.
Can you explain, Dale, what those are? The $2 million contingency, what that would be for, and what's a performance and payment bond?
Yeah, the performance bonds are just standard that the contractors have to put in there in order for us to be able to perform on our bond. The contingency's there for unforeseen things that we're going to run into as we go through and build the project. I met with them on site today, and a lot of the things that you usually run into in a project like this come early in the game. Doesn't mean we're not going to miss some other things or find some other things that need tweaking. So that $2 million may or may not get used. It's there and approved in case we run into some unforeseen things. But as I was told, a lot of those things are found initially when you're doing earthwork, and they found nothing but good things in the soil so far. So
good.
I have invited Mark Peterson to come today from Westland Construction. He's pretty well known throughout these parts.
Hey, Del, before Mark does, the $70 million, we approved $30 million a month ago. The $70 million includes the $30 million.
That is correct.
It's not
Thanks,
30
sir.
and 70.
Thank you for that clarification.
This is the total.
Yep. Yeah, good point.
So it's an amendment of our previously approved GMP?
Yes, it's an amendment. In fact, we've included in here we just got the contract, and that's also the amendment to the contract that we did we need to get approved tonight for this maximum GMP.
Okay.
It's probably important to just clarify, this will not increase any property taxes
That
for
is
our
correct.
residents.
Yeah, the previous amount that has been assessed on our property tax, just under $5 per month for the average home, is not going to change.
Okay, Perfect.
Our bond amount will remain consistent, and
What would we assume our bond amount was then? 65, 60?
Yeah, right now we're targeting about 61.
61.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so way back when the mayor said we're going to build this, we all agreed, we all moved forward. We had, I don't know if we had a number in mind. I'm not sure that we ever said, build it for X. But we did say, keep the bond in that $60 to $65 million range. We've done that. That's reflective in the $5, $4.88 on average per month. The difference then is through other revenue streams, shifting of priorities. It's going to, I guess my question is, it's retained within the current budget. We're not raising a fee somewhere to accommodate this. We're not taxing someone more to accommodate this. It exists within our budget. We reprioritize some things to pay for this.
Yeah, I think all of those play into the repayment schedule.
Okay.
I think I'd probably correct one thing. If we go back, what is it, about 18 months when we made that announcement? I feel like it was in a March, but I don't think it was 23. I think it was 22. You know, with March $22, I think we were targeting 55 to 60 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Mark could speak to this probably better than anybody, but go back to March of 22 versus now the increase of costs. So we're pretty happy to still be targeting that $60 million range. We were talking 60 to 65. So to be able to bond for the 61, we're very pleased with that. You could probably look at Jonathan and say for a sales tax bond, put into the market, we'd be somewhere in that 4.2. So we'll have the same conversations about whether or not we want to do a direct placement and try to get some favorable terms that would allow for a refund on that bond before the typical 10-year. But our structure is built right now with a 15-year. If we couldn't refund anything for 15 years, you know, what does it look like? And the path we have is really solvent. So.
So while you're thinking about that, let me give Mark a few minutes just to give you an update on the project, and if you have any technical questions on the GMP or any of that kind of stuff, and we can help answer those.
If you get some weather down there, we've got a councilman that's really good at jumping in puddles that aren't clean.
I'm in.
So we need to get that
I can-
footage.
I can test the puddle for you if you need.
We've done that before.
I'll keep you on our speed dial.
I appreciate it, Mark.
Currently, right now, where the project is at, the majority of the dirt work is done, which that is, as Dale was talking, that's usually where you can lose the most amount of your money, is in dirt, just unforeseen conditions. So the building pad is up, footings are now dug for the main part of the building. They'll start forming and pouring footings foundation this week. So we could see some walls coming up out of the ground by this time next week. So there's progress there. The site utilities, electrical is moving along. We've got a lot of that excavated, and they're beginning to install conduit and that in the ground. The under slab MEP, which is your mechanical, electrical, plumbing, will begin in the next couple weeks. So we'll start getting that pushed through. That'll prepare for slabs and work that way. Right now, we anticipate mason starting to bring the building vertical in March, the first part of March, which is actually really, really quick for starting this time of year. Really, with that initial GMP, we've been able to lock in steel, which is extremely volatile. Most our subs only hold their prices for 48 hours right now, so we were able to get that locked in and get that moving. That also includes air handlers have been purchased. We're in line to move those forward, so we will not be waiting on those. Those are a long lead item. Electrical is locked in. So we've been able to make some huge progress with that initial GMP.
What did you find with cement?
Cement, so with what we have right now, when they forecast our schedule, when they look at that, they're able to secure pricing on that for a year. So right now, with our subcontractor, we have that locked in through the 2024.
Which, if I understand, there was a price increase slated for January 1.
January and June.
$600,000 or something like that, some large number that we were
There's a-
looking at.
Yeah, there's usually a large number. They've calculated and addressed that as well, so we're in good shape there. But typically, you're right, there are price increases generally in January and June. So a lot of our subcontractors take that into consideration and do their best to mitigate that and lock materials in. So any questions?
End date. I know you just started, I appreciate the progress. When's it going to get finished? Give us,
Right.
not a date, just give me a year and a quarter.
Season, yeah.
Fall of '25,
Okay,
early fall is what
Early
we're
fall of
targeting,
25.
yes.
okay,
So
perfect.
right now, we're working through the
That's
project.
2 winters though, right? So there's some variability
Yeah,
in that
there's-
potentially.
There's some, this winter's going to dictate a lot of how the structure goes.
Okay.
Our target right now is to get the structure up in this next year. Because if we can get it closed in, then we're less susceptible to weather.
Okay.
Especially with the pools. The pool systems, we can work those through the winter on the indoor portion and then make hay when the weather's nice.
Okay,
So we're actually excavating the indoor pools right now.
very cool.
So we can work through that and get all the utilities put underneath it.
Sort of a detailed question on the GMP. There's not an item for pool.
So if you look at specialty
It's in
construction.
special construction?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what, specialty construction generally isn't a large number on a GMP unless you're building a pool.
And how many pools are we building?
There's 5 bodies of water. So you have 3 inside and 2 outside.
Okay.
The way this was put together and designed was, it works really, really well as far as efficiencies because it's almost handled as 3.
Nice.
So you have some good efficiencies there. And the pools that have been selected and are in procurement right now are some of the best as far as maintenance and longevity.
Can I clarify that I heard Dale correctly, that through value engineering, you were able to save $1.1 million
Yes,
over the last 2 months, just looking through numbers a little more strategically and?
yes. So
Okay.
as we work through the VE process, and we've done that a lot over the last 2 years. I'd like to not do it ever again, but we basically look at every aspect of the project, at materials. You know, if you look, there's a few line items on there. Take light fixtures, for example. We find similar, same manufacturer, maybe just not as amazing or something, you know, but still meets the criteria of energy efficiency and that type of item. So it creates a better, the same product, but just a better price point.
Okay.
When you say the last 2 years, you mean projects overall? that you
Projects
guys are-
overall. We have been value engineering just about every project that bids. So,
And I would probably add, I don't have the dollar amount here. If you have a dollar amount, Mark, you can certainly inject it. But we have the 1.1 value engineering, but there was a portion of time over the last couple of months, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, where Mark and his team were working specifically with the many subs before we awarded to identify things about their bids that they could make more efficient. That saved, I think, I can't remember now, but I want to say in the order of a few $100,000.
yes.
And then we went into the value engineering phase, and as Dale said, the 1.15 million, but then also the money, you know, we kind of joked as we were getting into it, every week we'd be studying some element of it, and we'd find something that was missing, and, you know, you identify $100,000 of savings, and you identify a $50,000 thing that wasn't there that should be there, and you're like, every time I look under the cushions, I find that there's a hole, I have to put some cotton in there, right? That was kind of frustrating. But those are things we would have found, and they would have come out in 2 months, 4 months, 8 months, 10 months, you know, whatever the time frame is. And those are guaranteed to come in and use your contingency. And so I think it's pretty safe to say, with everything all told, we're probably closer to $2 million. that we've found.
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah, and I say we, like I'm really a part of this. No, Mark and Dale and the various folks involved in that have really done a good job over the last few months, and I think it's really been worth the effort and the time.
Yeah, and let me just give you another example. One of the big things we found was if we just changed out the floor on the track and also in the fitness areas, we saved over $200,000. So we drove around the state, looked at some alternative floors that have been in weight rooms in high schools and other types of things. That's an example of what we did, and there was probably 130 line items. We just went through every single one, including light bulbs and all this other
Dale,
stuff.
you're not saying you're bringing in floors that's been in weight rooms in high schools, right?
Yes, no, Kevin. We didn't go gather up some used floors and bring them in. It's just the material
Sweat and tears.
that was gonna be just as effective as what had been initially bid on.
And
So
that-
it's those types of things that we're, detention basins. Yeah, there was some stuff out there, and without going through this process with these guys, we wouldn't have found it, so,
Equal or better,
yeah.
just lower cost.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and what we found with that floor, that was actually one of our subcontractors that came to us and says, hey, there's this product out there, it's not as well known in this state. But right now, we've got it installing in Spanish Fork High School, Payson High School, it'll go in Springville High School, it's been in Corner Canyon High School. So these are heavy used areas in high schools that are constantly being used. So it's gaining reputation here, so as they went through and looked at it, it's easier to maintain, so your maintenance costs will probably be lower. It's easier to repair if you do have some damage, so that's the kind of stuff we were looking for as well, and that's just a good example of that floor that saved a significant amount of money.
So we went to one of the high schools where it's been in for 10 years. Right, y'all want to see how it's wearing.
Yeah.
We want to talk to the custodians and had conversations with them on upkeep and that kind of thing, so it was very, very helpful.
And not everything that we studied, we did. I mean, there were lots of things that we looked at, we said, nope, that's not gonna work, nope, that's not gonna work.
Well, because it was going to ruin the aesthetics or something else that we didn't like about it, right? We didn't want to sacrifice quality again. This was just a substitute that was every bit as good as it was.
Well, and part of it, we also looked at what if we didn't build certain pools or areas as well, just to leave every rock unturned. Yeah, and it proved that it wouldn't be as cost-effective or valuable to do that right now in this process.
So if a resident was to go on the website and look at the schematics that are there today, that's what we're building.
Yep.
That's what we're getting.
Yeah, they're not gonna see.
We're not missing a pool inside.
No.
That's what I guess that's where my question is
No.
you're assuring the residents what we've seen in a virtual walkthrough and those pictures we've seen is what we're getting built. for
Still
this
going to be
price.
there. They won't know any difference if we've traded companies on.
There might be a
trusses.
hue of glass change, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know if we.
I don't know,
I
you
don't know
can-
if it was.
Depends
in-
on the resolution of your
Yeah,
screen.
yeah. I mean, because we went down to this color, this hue of glass is more expensive than that one, and does that matter? And we looked at different buildings of the different hues, and no, we didn't think it would. You know, that may be the only change that if I
Now that you
remember
brought
right.
it up, they'll notice.
No, they won't. No, they won't.
I will not. Whoever said Shane will.
Oh, you won't. It's going to look awesome.
It's gonna be great. Yeah, residents will be very proud.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any
Yeah,
other
thanks,
questions
Mark.
for Dale or
Yeah,
Mark
the
here?
effort.
I don't think I have a question. I think I just want to compliment Mark and Westland and Dell and his crew to get down and start working this problem. We went CMGC for this reason, and we hired these folks for this reason, to march through the process and be very meticulous about the products, the scope, the prosecuting of the work, to make sure that we got it right, make sure that we could deliver what we promised to the citizens, and we're doing that at a cost that makes sense in this very volatile market. I mean, I estimate projects on occasion for transportation. I estimated one in 2019 at 1.7 billion. It could potentially get billed for 3.7. So things have gone up.
You said billion.
I did.
Yeah, he used to be.
I used to be.
Just want to make sure I heard you right.
I'm just saying, it is, 100% more since that time. It is a crazy market to be doing estimating in, and I think we're getting this right. I think what CMGC allowed us to do is meet the expectation of what we're delivering, which is it's a community amenity that we need to get right? There's just been, every time you go somewhere, someone will say, I wish I would have done something. And in that moment, they sacrificed it because for some reason, we were able to get what we wanted and needed. I think it's going to be an asset to the community. Go
Well,
ahead.
just say, it's in your industry, so wheeling around acronyms of GM, P and CMGC.
Oh, yeah.
Remind us, CMGC means what and GMP means what?
CMGC,
Construction manager, general contractor.
that's what it means.
Okay.
It means you hire the general contractor to help you bid the
You're
project
saying
out.
this is what, this is doing the job.
Yep.
Basically, instead of,
To help you value engineer.
Yep.
Do exactly what we're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
and this process doesn't stop. If we continue to find things that we can do at a better price or a better way that saves money, that this process doesn't stop. We continue to work through that, through the whole thing, instead of in a low bid situation, it is what it is.
But through the CMGC, come up with a GMP that
Yes,
basically.
guaranteed maximum
the-
price.
the-
And it's
The
exactly
guaranteed
that,
maximum price that you
guaranteed
can
maximum
say,
price.
you've been guaranteed that this is your maximum price.
Yeah, you have defined the scope well enough that they can guarantee the maximum price. And
Yes.
so I think we've done that. It's certainly not unique to have multiple GMPs. There's a project I worked on back east that has 6 GMPs. So it's very consistent with that. I think there was a sense from a few folks in the community that the timing of all this was somewhat political and coincides with an election. And I'm here to tell you that is not the case whatsoever. We went into this project with the intentions of getting the right project, at the right scope, at the right price. And we were not going to let that go forward until all of those things were in place. And it made sense last month to put something out, to get started, to make some significant progress. And the weather's been pretty cooperative, and we've made significant progress, and it made sense to come here tonight and approve the rest of it. And because of that, we saved some money, and we got it right. So it did take some time, but it's time that we should spend. If we're going to invest $70 million of the taxpayer dollars, we better do this right, and we better be methodical about it, and this process allowed us to do it. And that is the bottom line of why it took this long, is because we needed it to take this long to get it right. So I appreciate both your efforts. I know it was a ton of work. I happened to attend a couple of meetings where you weren't smiling quite like this. And so I appreciate the hard work on both of your parts to getting this far, and we're looking forward to a spring of 2025.
Well, that's what I was going to say, that's what our goal was originally, right? Spring or summer 2025, but the stars didn't align, we needed to get it right.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little longer, and it's taken a little longer the last couple months.
And really, if you work through the VE process correctly, you're usually between 6 weeks and 2 months to make sure it's vetted out properly. What's happened here has been a normal process, and it's worked really well.
Any other questions
Thank you.
for Dale or Mark up here? Seth, anything you want to add from the administrative side? Thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mark.
you. Okay, if there's no further discussion on item E, I would entertain a motion for item E in new business.
I move to approval of the Rec Center GMP.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Marshall, seconded by Councilman Argyle. Roll call vote here. Councilman Argyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Beck?
Yes.
Councilman Marshall?
Yes.
Councilman Cardon?
Yes.
And Councilman Euler?
Yes.
Item E is approved.
Chad, 2 things. No throwing things in the holes? No burying anything? Okay. And then also you have something to use your hard hat for now.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bring back that hard hat when we do. I think, yeah, we're not going to be weather conducive with heavy equipment working around there to get a bunch of pictures, but we will keep we'll keep an update. At some point, the camera's going to move from SFCN building over to the construction of this. I'm looking for Brian's confirmation back there.
He's already got a camera.
Oh, camera's already going, we're just not,
We were knocking down houses.
okay.
Nice.
Okay. So residents, keep close to the city website, keep close to the places that we'll be releasing that, but you'll be able to watch some big trucks go on, and when the weather permits a little bit better, we'll kind of celebrate some timestamp monuments. Usually there's a beam and things like that, right? And so we'll make sure we're communicating that out.
So just to be super clear, we started this building pre-COVID, went into COVID, steel prices and steel just became unavailable. We watched the cameras, watched nothing for a while because we were waiting for steel. We don't have that issue. For those of you at home, the answer was no. Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
It's been ordered, we're moving forward. Perfect. I'm sure you did not, I wasn't trying to point a finger, I was just trying to, it's a different market, it's a different situation, and we have it in place to move forward, so, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make sure going south, especially on Main Street, that you try to cover it up pretty good with fence and covering over that fence. But the chief is nodding his head, asking, please, no accidents driving south while you're rubbernecking of what's going on.
That's why it's covered.
It's covered up for that reason, so go home and watch it on Channel 17 or get to the YouTube, get to the website and watch what's going on, but be careful on the road. But super exciting. I know you guys are excited. The whole community's excited. Residents are always asking us about it. I know we're going to a school to speak in a week or something.
2 days.
Oh, okay, it's coming up.
Right.
And those will be the questions that we get all the time from residents and especially school kids is, when are we going to be swimming again? And Mark has assured us that's going to happen in the spring of '25. So we'll be off and running. And we appreciate everybody's patience, everybody's hard work that's went into this. And it's going to be an amazing structure, amazing place for generations to come. So good stuff.
I'm going to say, take as much time as you need to make sure those pools don't leak, right? If that's fall, then that's fall.
Important to get it right. But for the record, just to be clear, both Mike and I were being smart aleck about the spring. The schedule is the fall of 2025, right? So
That's when we're expecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.